What is going on, everybody? In today's video, I want to talk about the 3 most common sales objections you will get on your sales calls and how you can actually overcome them. Let's go.
No Chanel, Nike track, doing roll with some waps, and that's capo in the back, and that's roll in the back, in the lala, word of Zach. I need action, that's a fact. I style, no stylish.
All right, what is going on, everybody? So in today's video, we are talking about the 3 most common objections you will get on your sales calls and how to overcome those objections step by step. So guys, before I jump into the meat and potatoes of today's video, let me just start off by saying a lot of digital marketers and agency owners struggle with sales, but that's too broad, right? You've got to kind of dig a little deeper, and a lot of times clients will pose objections or give you objections to your pitch and whatever it is you're telling them. And a lot of times people will just get stuck and they kind of freeze up and they don't know what to say, and then it just kind of goes downhill from there, right? But guys, if you understand the psychology behind objections, overcoming them is too easy. It's stupid easy, okay? So now guys, the 3 objections I'm going to talk about today are not the only objections, right? Obviously there are other ones, and they're not necessarily, you know, the top ones that always come up, but these are 3 objections that do come up pretty frequently, and a lot of times for a lot of marketers and agency owners can be quite difficult to overcome, okay? So let's jump right into it. Number 1, the first objection a lot of marketers run into is something along the lines of, well, you know, we've hired a company in the past and they didn't get us results, or we've hired a couple companies, they didn't get us results, so we're not too confident that this whole thing works in general, so, you know, why should we hire you, right? And it's a very fair question, right? Especially if the company has legitimately worked with other marketers and agencies in the past and they didn't get results, right? So guys, I'll tell you what most marketers are going to do, and I'll tell you what you should do instead to separate yourself from the pack and be able to basically just break through that objection. So what most agency owners will do is go into what I call defense mode. So they'll start defending themselves and going on and on about how great they are and why they're better than the people they worked with, right? So they'll usually start saying stuff like, well, you know, what's different about us is we do this and we have this process and we blah, 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 and we have all these softwares and great team and blah, blah, blah. That is not what a high-level consultant does, right? High-level consultants don't defend themselves. Why? Because they already know their worth, they know their value, and they know what they're capable of. So there's no need to defend it. It's like if somebody has a lot of money, somebody who's actually rich doesn't really feel the need to go around talking all about their money because they know they're rich. Or somebody that's really healthy doesn't have to boast about how great their body is because they know they look good, right? So there's no need to go into defense mode, because as a high-level consultant, which is what you should feel like and should see yourself as, you don't need to defend yourself. So don't do that, guys. Don't go into defense mode. What you want to do instead is dig a little deeper into the objection, right? So if they say something like, well, we worked with other companies in the past and they didn't get us results, what you need to do is figure out what the actual problem is, right? Because what they're saying is essentially that maybe they're not too confident that marketing works in general, right? So what you need to figure out is, was it the company or was it them, right? Because the different options that could have, or the different things that could have happened was maybe the marketing company they worked with just genuinely sucked. Maybe they just couldn't do what they said they could do. Or maybe they did, but the client did not have a sales process in place to handle the business that the agency sent them, so they thought it was the agency's fault and this and that, and they just want to blame everybody else. So what you need to do is figure out if the company was actually as bad as the client says they were. So typically I'll ask them a question. Side note, guys, psychology behind objections, always respond to them with a question. Never just give them an answer or go into defense mode. As I said, ask them a question. Super powerful sales stuff. So I usually ask the client, well, let me ask you a question. The company that you worked with, did they specialize in your industry? If it's, you know, a solar company, do they specialize in solar, right? And then typically the answer will be no, because more often than not, guys, a lot of clients have worked with marketing companies that were just general store type companies, right? So they'll probably say something like, well, no, they just did marketing, right? And then what you need to help the client realize is that, well, okay, so if that's the case, then can we agree on the fact that it probably wasn't the fact that like marketing doesn't work, because there's billions of users on Facebook, billions of users on Google. It's probably not the fact that marketing doesn't work. You probably just hired the wrong company for the job. Do you think we can agree on that? That's how you start to open it up. And look, guys, again, no witty lines, no fancy comebacks, no catchy phrases to overcome the objection, just helping them realize that they're actually wrong in their thought process. That's how you actually overcome objections, okay, guys? So it's super powerful. And then once you kind of break through that, then it's like, okay, keep moving, right? So now that quote-unquote objection is just out. It's not even a thing anymore, right? So number 2, again, guys, this is not necessarily the most common objection, right? This isn't something that may come up on every single one of your sales calls, but this will come up from time to time, and it's very easy to get tripped up on. Typically, no, again, not typically, but sometimes the client may say, well, you know, and guys, the reason why I'm talking about this one in particular is because I was actually on a sales call the other day with a potential agency client. Fortunately, I signed him on as a client, but in the beginning, he said something along the lines of, well, you know, I just don't see why I can't do what you guys do. I don't see why I can't do my own SEO, why I can't do my own pay-per-click advertising. And guys, again, I'm gonna set this up. So here's what most marketers will do, and then I'm gonna tell you what you should do or need to do instead to overcome that objection. Most marketers will do something like this. Well, you know, if you do that, then you won't know how to do this, 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 and that, and we're really good because we know how to do it in a special way and all this other shit, right, guys? Defense mode, not what a high-level consultant does. What you need to do and what you need to say is something very simple. Go ahead and do it. And guys, literally on that sales call, that's exactly what I said. The client said, well, why can't I think I can just do it on my own. And you know what I told him? I said, good, go do it. Go do it on your own and see how you like it. See if you enjoy it, if you like the results you get. Now guys, that may seem a little weird, it may seem a little counterintuitive, and in fact, and honestly it is. It's not necessarily the thing that you're gonna think of in terms of what you would say to an objection like that. But the reason why it's so powerful, guys, is because A, they're not expecting it. Most marketers won't tell them that. Most marketers will say the first thing I said, which was go into defense mode, start telling them why they're so good, why they should hire them, things like that. No bueno, no freaking bueno, right? So again, they won't expect it. Number 2, it puts you in an insanely powerful position of authority because it shows the client that you are willing to walk away from the sale. It shows that you don't actually care a whole lot whether or not they work with you or not, right? So powerful, guys, so powerful, because what that does is it creates a gap between you two, and then because of the gap, it creates a almost like a want on the client, like the client wants to come back. They're like, wait a second, no, because it's not something they hear all the time. Like they're not just told to go and do it on their own, because then they realize like, oh shit, maybe I should actually work with them, right? So guys, again, insanely powerful stuff. So to recap, if a client ever tells you, well, you're not thinking I could just do all that Facebook stuff or like Google stuff on my own, just tell them, cool, go do it. And if you don't like your results, come back to me in 3 months or 6 months. Simple as that, guys. Very simple. Number 3. The most popular one, the price, right? The price. Oh my gosh, it's too expensive. I don't know if I can afford that. It's a lot of money for Facebook ads. That's a big chunk of our budget. Things like that you guys have probably heard before. Now, a lot of sales, tacticians and practitioners and people that teach sales will tell you to have these fancy lines and witty comebacks and, well, let me ask you this, what's the price of blah, 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 like if you don't do it and things like that, right, guys? And I'm not saying that stuff doesn't work. By all means, it can definitely work. 100% not saying that those things won't work, but if you really want to understand these objections on a deeper level, like I said, and the psychology behind them and why the clients are saying things like that, let me explain. If the client gives you a price objection, right? More often than not, 99% of the time, it's not actually about the price. What the objection is they don't actually, 2 things. Number 1, they don't fully understand what you do and how you can help them, and B, they don't see the value. So they kind of go hand in hand. They kind of work in tandem together, right? So you guys need to understand that. It's not about the price. It's not about the price. So, and let me explain again, same way I did for the last 2 objections, what most marketers will do and what you should do instead, okay? So most marketers, again, if you start to notice the patterns here, the concepts, as I said, the psychology behind them is most marketers go into defense mode once again. They start defending themselves. They start saying, well, there's a lot of work that goes into this, and we're going to be doing a lot of building in it, and we're going to build out these funnels, and we're going to build out this, and we're going to do a lot of work. So, we have to get compensated for our time. And then they start saying other things like, well, we have this process, and this is why it costs so much. And then even worse than that, guys, is a lot of marketers will even start offering deals like, well, how about this? If you move forward with me today, I'll give you this special price, or I'll give you this discount. And then you just start cheapening your service, which makes you look like even more of a low value consultant and not a high value or a high level consultant. Okay, so what you need to do instead, guys, is agree with them. If they say it's too expensive, simply say, and there are a couple different things you can say, but acknowledge it and say, yeah, you're right, that's a lot of money. It's certainly not cheap. We're not the cheapest option out there. If you're looking for cheap, if you're looking for a deal, keep shopping, because that's not who we are. If you are looking for a service that is going to get you the results you're looking for, then that's us, and then you might want to look into hiring us. If not, if you're looking for a deal, Mr. Client, then look elsewhere, because we're not those people. We're not cheapening our service, because that would just make us look bad, make us look like amateurs. Very simple. So guys, reason why that's powerful, number one, most people won't say that. Pattern interrupts. Things that people don't expect to hear are what's going to make them change their way of thinking and snap them out of that trance that they're in, okay, of telling you it's too expensive, when in reality it's not too expensive. They just don't understand the value, or they're just genuinely price shopping, which is not the type of client you would want anyways, okay? That's one reason. They don't expect to hear it. Number two, you're just facing that objection head on. You're admitting it. You're being very authentic when you say something like that. And again, they don't expect to hear that. Right, guys? So just to recap, the 3 objections, right? Number one, we've hired a marketing company in the past, didn't work. Instead of going into defense mode and, well, this is why we're good, no, ask them and make them understand that they just didn't hire the right company, right? So ask them, was that client, or was that company or agency rather, a company that specializes in your niche? They have past results in your niche, right? If not, okay, well, then you just didn't hire the right company for the job. Can we agree on that? Boom. Pass that objection. Number two, they think they can do it themselves. Cool. Go right ahead, Mr. Client. Don't go into defense mode. Remember, don't go into defense mode. Just say, hey, if that's what you think, then cool, go do it. And watch when they say, well, you know, I still want to hear what you have to offer, because it makes them want your service even more. Very cool stuff. Very good sales psychology stuff right there. Number three, it's too expensive. I don't have the money. It's too much for Facebook ads. That's a big chunk of our budget. You're absolutely right. It is certainly not cheap. We're not a cheap service. We are a premium service. It is a lot of money. That's correct. Where do we go from here? Super simple, guys. Overcoming objections does not have to be complicated, okay? A lot of people do overcomplicate them, but again, once you understand the psychology behind them, okay, and not just the lines you should use or the things or catchy words you should say, then you'll start to realize that you can overcome basically any objection, most of them, right? By just understanding the psychology. But guys, in another video, I'm not going to talk about this today because it'll just take too long. I'm going to talk about how to actually prevent these objections from ever coming up in the first place, which is where it starts to get really, really fun, because then when you get to that point, that's when you can start closing deals super easily. It's not even a problem anymore. So anyways, guys, really, really hope this helped. Again, how you overcome objections. Don't overcomplicate it, right? Just face them head on. Be super authentic. Be real with the client. Tell them what they need to hear, not what they are used to hearing. Okay, guys? Now, if you did like this video, if you think that this stuff was semi-cool, if it helped even a little bit, you can check out, there's a couple links right below this video or above, depending on where you're watching it. The first link is just a link to another video. It's like a 15-20 minute video of my partner Brian and I breaking down the 3 things that hold every single agency back, and the 3 key components of every successful agency. If you kind of want to dive a little deeper into this stuff and really sort of soak up and absorb some higher level knowledge, you might want to check that out. And the second thing is right below that. If you do want to actually talk to me on the phone, if you want to schedule a strategy session, see how I can help you and see if, talk a little bit, see where your agency is at, see if you want to start making some changes and take your agency to the next level. There's also a link right below the first link that is just to schedule a call with me. Again, completely free, no strings attached, no cost. It's not a freaking sales call, right? Just a chill chat, see where you're at, see if we can work together. And yeah, guys, that's all I got for you today, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Cool.